want to go through and kind of just like walk through a hiring funnel and just kind of go through the psychology of it. John, this will look familiar. I don't know. Did you use any of the stuff that I sent you when you were looking to hire a new salesperson?
Yeah,
Did it work?
I had a couple of applicants and stuff, and I liked the one guy, but he ended up moving to Illinois or some crazy shit. Um, but I ended up just stealing a person from another roofing company, and it worked out fine.
That works too.
But no,
That
I
works too.
definitely had some better people in front of me after I used that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what am I already sharing my screen? There we go. And that's a theory here is like what I want to do is kind of walk through this little funnel of like what the oh I still have your name on it. What I want to do is like walk through why it's written the way that it is and just the basic steps. Busy season's coming, and a lot of you, as you grow, it's going to become more and more necessary to have support from on the sales side and to have people who are from the start able to do able to come in and kind of understand what they're working on and who they're working for. The last thing you want is to be just another roofing company for them to try. Now, it doesn't mean they can't come from the roofing industry, but you don't want to just be, well, we'll see if this one's better than the last. You need them to come in with the belief that this is a different type of company. It is run differently. There are different priorities. And when you're recruiting, that needs to be made clear. The way to get some of the worst applicants or hire the worst people is to say you can make 100 to 200,000 a year and just leave it at that. Not because they can't. Of course, we all know they can, and we all know the math works out pretty well, but we want our applicants to come in and to feel like they're joining a company. I worked uh, for SRS distribution, and I, in hindsight, if I knew how much money I could have made if I just went straight to selling roofs, I would have. The thing is, a lot of the time you're recruiting from different pools. And when I say that, I mean like you are positioned as a lower quality option, though you can make more, like a lot of the time. And we want to flip that. And we need to make sure that the way we're writing our ads would stand out to someone that is looking to join something that's like get excited about it. Like, okay, I'm on the ground floor of this company, or this company's growing so fast and they need good people, and I probably could be that person. Like, whatever the verbiage is, like, we need to try to think through that. So, I'm going to break down everything just from the start. Position, try to come up with a name like in-home sales consultant. I think is among the best names that you can have. Salesperson, project manager, like those are going to pull people in less. And when we're writing job postings, whether it's on Facebook or if it's on Indeed or any of the job listing platforms, it is an ad. We have to hook them in with the title and with the pay. And then we have to grab their attention to the point where they're not just clicking apply all, but instead they're intentionally looking, this is a company that I think I would enjoy working with. So in-home sales consultant is a good one because even if they look up salesperson and it is in that category, in-home sales consultant would cater to someone who's out of college, but maybe doesn't know what they want to do and is interested in like just wants to make money in the construction industry. Another thing to think about is even if they're not out of college, you got to think like the distribution reps, just so you guys know, I had a $55,000 base salary. Not bad, but not a crazy amount. And then I made 1% commission on shingles and then 0.5% commission on accessories of gross. Once my average trailing sales was 4 million, I got 1.25% commission on shingles and still 0.5% commission on accessories. The math equals like if I was like selling $4 million a year, it would be like 1.1% of that. So maybe I could make 90,000, 95,000. Now I sold more than that because I worked really hard. But if I knew that there was an option out there from the start where I could go make 2 or 3,000 a sold job rather than having to wait all year to maybe make $1,000 to $2,000 per client that I had to work really hard to service, I probably would have considered it. So I'm not saying that I am the like the mecca of hiring roofing salespeople at all. But what I am saying is you can begin recruiting from different pools if you write your job postings differently. Because what I was looking for, a sales role in the construction industry. I was just looking to like, okay, commercial construction maybe and distribution. I was looking in those things because that's what I thought I needed. But if I could understand and if I could have gotten pulled in, and if you could have gotten me to the interview, then I probably would have really, really heavily considered it. And it's just something to think through as like as you're writing your job posting or as you're trying to recruit salespeople, what can you do from how you're writing it, what the compensation structure is, and how you communicate and how you interview? What can you do to begin recruiting from a pool that maybe is a step up from the people who are just looking for a commission only salesperson? Yeah, Bailey, what's up?
So we're actually our company is joining the Sky Diamonds program, um, and they talk about doing video ads for hiring. Have you ever tried that?
It's an option. So I I've seen a lot of people do it. You can write it in a million different ways. I think you're not going to get the highest quality candidates from a Facebook ad, but
Gotcha.
it doesn't mean that you won't. Sky Diamonds is going to be a lot of like volume in regards to sales team. So they're going to like, my understanding is that they're going to be really focused on like, okay, let's go get you 50 interviews. Let's try to close. Let's try to maybe 30 of them show up. We offer 15, 6 of them come on, and then let's get them trained up and do it all over again.
Mhm.
Uh, Fine model if that's like if you have the infrastructure and willpower to manage that big of a team. But they're really like going for like, let's cast a big net, let's try to go for volume. What I'm talking about more is like, how can we find that 3 to 5 person sales team that is going to be a really stable part of the business? So it's just a different kind of approach, I guess.
Gotcha.
Um, and this stuff would work. Like this ad would work on Facebook as well. It just probably it would probably be lower quality people than it would from like Indeed or something.
Hmm.
So in-home sales consultant, that's basically title. Job description. Sales rock stars wanted now. That's if you want to be playful. If you want to be more formal, you obviously can. But what I want you to notice is this is written literally like you would write a Facebook ad, to Bailey's point. Like we are trying to write this in a way that uses advertising principles and psychology. It's not just let's give them a few, it's not just like let's give them some information and see if this is interesting. This is like let's hook them in, let's pull them in, let's get them excited. Each line should make them think more and more like, yes, this is me. So sales rock stars wanted, you could test the headline just like you would with a Facebook ad. I still stand by preferring this to be more on uh, a job listing website, but it still is the same principles. So sales rock stars wanted. If you haven't already heard of XYZ roofing, so this is an insinuation that you're big enough to where they would have heard of you, or you're growing enough that they would have heard of you. Once again, we're trying to recruit from a pool that isn't just trying to go work for the small business. Not saying there's anything wrong with the small business, but if it's someone who's looking for true stability, you're going to have to overcome the fact that you are not a massive company with a compensation structure and a culture that really pulls them in. So we want to try to get them thinking towards that. And we want to get them to the interview. That's the goal, without lying, but get them to the interview. We're a fast growing company that is currently producing massive amounts of great leads, and we need some amazing service oriented people to handle them. We have implemented a process that consistently generates new business for us and has allowed us to get tons of exposure in the areas we are working. We are hoping for some hungry individuals to execute on that process we have proven to get in front of the right homeowners and then to inspect their properties, communicate with them the scope of what might need to be done, and guide them through the journey of getting a new roof. So in this section, we're trying to show we have the formula already. This is plug and play. This is not go figure it out. This is not being thrown to the sharks. This is we have a pretty strong process that will work as long as you execute on it. So this is like their easy button. They're like, oh, all I have to do is follow steps 1 to 5 and I'll close deals. Great. So this is making them think, okay, this is going to be easy money. Next, culture. Our clients are our number one priority, and one of the ways we show them that is by having a strong and well taken care of team that embodies the values of the company by serving them to the best of their ability. Our commitment to our clients is only possible by providing a stable and growth-oriented environment for our team where they are respected, well-trained, well-paid, and taken care of. So this is merging the fact that in order to be the best roofing company, in order to do the best for the clients, you recognize that the team is what really, really matters. So we are trying to create this buy-in to where, okay, we're doing this for something greater than us, but me coming in and them taking care of me is aligned with the incentives. It is aligned with their values and is aligned with taking care of the customer. So it all just seems like, okay, this is going to be a stable place for me or a safe place for me because they've merged what's important to me and what's important to them all into one thing that kind of embodies the way the business and the culture is. This is getting rid of objections. You will not have to cold call. Obviously, in roofing sales, that's not super common, but salespeople in general know that they don't like cold calling oftentimes, and it's good. And you can cover, hey, we don't do that, just so you know. So you're just, even if it never was going to be brought up, now they're like, okay, good. You're giving them like a relief. Pay for leads. You might not do this, but this is actually pretty common in the industry. Is people are like, okay, if we if we give you a lead and you close it, you have to give us $250 out of your commission. Not so common that we hear about it all the time, but when you start working with individual roofing companies and hearing how they're structured, this is a common thing. They don't talk about it very much on Facebook, but you hear about it when you're in the back room sometimes. So you're not doing that. So they're like, oh, okay, that's good. Knock entire neighborhoods for hours on end. So this is where you're like, and we're not just going to send you every single day out to knock doors. Doesn't mean there won't be knocking doors, but this is basically saying like your job is not a door knocker. You are an in-home sales consultant. So this is kind of trying to cover potential objections, and also you're trying to educate them on what objections they could have had with other people and noting that you don't do it. So it's similar, like if you're selling a roof and you're like, the person doesn't know anything about synthetic felt or 30-pound felt, but you in your sales processes are like, don't worry, we don't use 30-pound felt, or we don't use 15-pound felt, if that's even a thing anymore. We don't use 15-pound felt. And that's the one that's like kind of sticky and like has a little tar thing, because it really just doesn't end up sitting right on the roof. It doesn't create a breathable enough thing, like whatever you want to say. But the point is, you're basically assuring them that you're not doing something that they didn't even know to care about or watch out for. But now, as they're looking in the future, they're going to be wanting to make sure they don't have to do these things. And if that's not on the job listing, it might give them pause. So it puts you up on the competition in regards to like who they're going to interview with, who they're interested in interviewing with. More. This is more about the proven system. You'll just have to follow our proven system to fill your own pipeline using leads we provide as the foundation for your growth. So basically saying like, we're going to give you a push start. We're going to provide you leads. We will make sure you win so long as you follow some simple strategies that ensure you are thoroughly trained that we will ensure you are thoroughly trained on to build a strong pipeline of your own white hot leads, or with hot leads of your own, with hot leads that want you to be the one to help them get their new roof installed. So going back on the fact that there's a proven system, saying we will make sure you're trained, we'll make sure you understand these strategies, we'll make sure you win, and we're going to make sure you're able to build your own pipeline. So they're starting to envision a future where you're getting rid of the worries they have, and they can start seeing the future of like, okay, I have my own growing pipeline. I have people that are like wanting me, not even the company, but me to be the one to do their roof. And so they start getting a little excited, kind of maybe the entrepreneurial side of them kicks in, except this is like a safer option. So that's that part. This part is good. Please do not apply if you have an ego that will get in the way of your ability to make a great income. You are not a team player. You do not care about what you are selling. We install a great project only to people that need a new roof. Only highly ethical individuals will be considered. You hate fun and you hate money in roofing businesses. Of course, they're all going to be like, well, that's not me. But in that process, they're like, what's the alternative to this? If this isn't them, then the alternative is maybe I'm the right fit for this role. So we're kind of poking at like what we know they're not, and they're hopefully like, well, I don't have a big ego. I am a team player. I do care that I'm selling someone that needs a new roof. I don't want to just be pushing roofs to people who don't need it. I love having fun. I don't hate money. So these are funny little like things that show you have a personality, kind of show the culture that you're going to have, but also make them further on your side of the table. Make them more and more thinking, okay, maybe this, like, I think I'm a good fit because I don't fit any of those things. And then an important note, if you loathe the person described above as much as us, please apply to this job. So this is saying further confirmation. Like if that person sounds like an asshole, then we will agree and we already have some common ground here. This one is urgency and scarcity. We expect and have received up to 100 applicants in the past when we have put up postings for similar roles and highly suggest you jumping on this quickly. So scarcity and urgency. If you're waiting for a mysterious sign that this is for you, here's a sign. If you are awesome, we want you on our team before spots fill up. More scarcity, more urgency, and also a reminder that just basically be like, hey, don't overthink it. Like, we're here. If you got this far, you're probably halfway interested. Let's talk. And also more comedy, and you're kind of writing and showing that you have a personality. Like this job description is meant to make it sound like you would be a fun place and person to work for. So be a fun person and place to work for would be one requirement of using this. That's the job description. Any questions or any thoughts before I move into like the structure of the interview and how I'd suggest doing that? Alrighty, rock and roll. These settings are for Indeed. Indeed really rewards first time, like the first time you throw up something on Indeed, it can do really well, especially if you boost it. Similar vocab as Facebook, but it works pretty well. Require resume. People with the criminal record are encouraged to apply. That's up to you. I don't have anything against people with criminal records, but also like you could potentially like just get people that you don't want to have to, like, you don't want to have to ask what they did. And unless you're running a background check, which you're probably not, you won't find out what they did usually. So you don't want to risk getting someone that did something that you wouldn't be okay with being in your company. Timeline, no matter what job posting, always try to make it a pretty short window because that will squeeze and push more and more people to you. Pay range, I would not go talk about $200,000 or $300,000. While that sounds great, it's just not going to be the average. And if you have too big of a range, people will be like, okay, whatever, this sounds fake.
That's why I went straight to 500,000.
Yeah, exactly. So range minimum 75,000, maximum 150,000. That will get enough good people. If you put 500,000, people are going to apply, but they're not going to be like, it won't be people who put a whole lot of thought into your job posting, or they did and are the types of people that get scammed on the internet. So what you want to do is like make it a realistic, and in the interview you're welcome to say like, look, it's possible to make up to 200,000, but I just wanted to give you like, if you don't work too hard and just kind of have this as something that you're just doing, you will probably even then make about 75,000. If you put in some good work and you sell what we would expect most of our salespeople to sell, probably make about 125,000. If you're above average, you're going to make about 150,000. And then you can keep going. We don't cap your commission. So have a reasonable range. I think this is a good one because it'll get enough people in. This is the bottom number is enough to where it's people that take themselves seriously, and the top number isn't so high that it seems like you're just making random numbers up to get them pulled in. So that is the settings. This is a nice little hack. Not all job listings sites have this, but the way to make sure you don't just get a bunch of weird applicants, or at least that you don't begin interviewing a bunch of weird applicants, is making them do manual stuff. Because most of these job listings, they can just press a button and say apply, apply, apply with one click. This will stop that. Or it will allow you to see, okay, this person literally just pressed one button and applied. He probably didn't even read the post. So these are 3 options, but you'd probably want all 3 if you can. Please tell us something unique about you that would make you a great candidate for this, for us to consider. Are they able to say something that is not purely just like generic? Are they going to put some thought into this? If you were our hiring manager, what would you like us to say about you after the interview is finished, specifically regarding qualities you possess? So this is basically making them think, what are the qualities that I would like to show in my interview? If considered, the initial interview will be a virtual video call to review your resume and discuss some details of the job. We'll invite you via email. Please confirm that you'll be on the lookout for an email in the next 1 to 3 business days with details. So this is just them saying yes and kind of walking them through what next steps are. These questions are good and helpful. If you for like about 100, depends on the market, but in Houston, this would probably, like, I've accidentally generated a 400 like 3 days for a executive assistant role I was hiring for, and it was very overwhelming. But it can happen, and like if you write it and if a bunch of people, like it's just like anything else. So if they start seeing that your job posting is getting a lot of attention, they'll just send more and more people to it. So that's the setup. First interview, I would usually basically just schedule a call. Don't do a phone call. Do a video call and make them schedule it. And then you just make sure your calendar settings are available for whatever time. On the calendar questions, when you're setting up your Calendly, which is, you can have a free one. Are you excited about our interview? Yes. In a perfect world, what would you like to bring home income-wise over the next 12 months? Note, top reps can make up to 200,000. So this is getting them to like give you an idea of how they're thinking. Say, this will be a video call and we'll need your audio and camera to be on and in working order. Please confirm you will test and make sure it is good to go so that we can use all of the 15 minutes we have scheduled. On the good stuff, type I confirm below. We all have been on a Zoom where someone's trying to figure out how their audio and camera works for the first 5 minutes, and this is getting ahead of that so that if they're trying to interview and that happens, then you just know that they didn't really do any preparation right off the bat, and that's helpful. And then when you schedule the 15 minutes interviews, email them just the Calendly link. This is what the email can look like. Congrats, schedule your interview. Body, hey Elizabeth, We reviewed your application and it really stood out among the many others we received. Scarcity, right here. We're still marketing to them. We would love for you to schedule a 15-minute video interview with us to discuss the role further and get to know each other. Schedule here, calendar link. Talk soon, Brad. P.S. If you would like to learn a little bit about our company, here's the link to our website. Try to figure out if they looked at your website on the interview. In this interview, though, I would ask just basic, like, confirm details in their resume. See if they have like a basically normal rapport and back and forth that you can create with them. And then ask them some very basic logistical questions. Like, hey, we're going to work on Saturdays sometimes. That's okay? Yes. Hey, if it's commission only, say, hey, it's commission only. Hey, like, this is more for you to confirm a few details and then for you to give them details that would weed them out if they weren't going to be up for the structure of things. Interview 2, after the Zoom, this would be more of an in-person interview usually, but I would prefer it to be, I'd prefer it to be in person, but you could do Zoom if you prefer. And this is the more formal interview. And I don't have all the right questions for that, but this one's more just coming up with the basics and trying to organize it in a way to where you're putting it together and basically having them explain to you or show that they can think outside of the box is usually one of the big ones. Try to get them to talk about what they've done before, like work-wise. Get them to tell you, like, see how much of a problem solver they can be. Like, can you explain to me a time where you didn't agree with something your manager did, and how did you handle it? Like, things like that can give you a good idea of what type of person they are. If you're into personality tests, Elizabeth and I both like the Enneagram one. That would be helpful. So there's free ones online. You can have them go take that. Maybe in between the Zoom interview and the in-person interview. And that will give you some ideas of like what their potential qualities that are good could be, but also what potential downfalls they could have. And you could form your questions specifically around their personality type, which would probably be the most effective way to do it. And also look, like in Enneagram, there's like 8, right, Beth? Or 9?
9.
9. A 1 and 3 might not work well together. So that's worth knowing and trust it. Don't be like, new age bullshit. It's pretty legit. Like, so if you're going to do something like the personality tests, make sure that you're actually like it's not just a check. I would say if you're going to do the personality test, then you should probably form your entire interview around the potential deficiencies that you see arising within their personality type. So that is today's training. And yeah, I'm going to stop recording and then we can hang out.